Tonight you'll get an inside look on Sentry World's renovations, Ask an Anchor Day, and Sam Drogi's visit to campus. All this and more coming up on SPTV News.
And now Milica Mitrovic in her second year with SPTV News.
Good evening, Stevens Point. In campus news this week, photographer and entomologist Sam Drogi visit campus and kicked off the Co-Fac Creates event, Beyond the Hive. Drogi hosted a lecture and workshop for communications and art students interested in his macro photography of bees and other insects. He showed the students the step-by-step process of his macro photography, and after the workshop, the Carlston Art Gallery hosted an opening reception for Beyond the Hive series that included Drogi's photography along with student pieces. Beyond the Hive events will continue until December 7th. Check out the calendar on their website for more details. Well, a few WSAW's anchors came to SPTV studio last week to talk to UWSP students about the life of a television anchor. SPTV's Ashley Hommer has more.
On Friday, November 7th, 3 anchors from WSAW, Sean Caldwell, Hannah Anderson, and Amy Flugsop, came to UWSP to talk about their daily routines and the broadcast industry as a whole.
Every day is different, but primarily I wake up 11:15 at night. I'm in the office by midnight, and then over the next 4.5 hours, I produce half of the broadcast. We go on at 4:30, and producing basically means I look at the stories from the night before, look at the new stories that are happening overnight, and then just kind of structure the broadcast that way. And then at 4:30 we go on the air. We go on because it's 4:30 and we're not always ready, but that's what time we go on, so we go on from 4:30 to 7. And then just because the broadcast is over doesn't mean the work is over. We are constantly looking ahead to the next day.
Students were given an opportunity to get their questions answered about the broadcast industry as well as network with the anchors after the presentation.
I was invited to speak here, but I always enjoy catching up with some of the, because I'm still excited about news, and I'm thankfully young enough to still kind of have that enthusiasm, and I hope to have it for a very long time. So it's always nice to talk to people who share that.
Sean Caldwell even offered some advice to students looking for a career in broadcast.
One thing I'd like them to know is that it's a job. It's hard work, and there are some days when you hate it, and there are some days when you love it, and it is so much more than just sitting in a chair and reading from a teleprompter. It's so much more than being a pretty face, because if it was just that, I would not have a job.
The anchors really showed students how the real world is without glossing over any details. I'm Ashley Homer with SPTV News.
Sunrise 7 co-anchor Sean Caldwell came into the SPTV studio to follow up with their staff on why they would like to be in the broadcast industry. Check out that story Friday, November 21st on Sunrise 7 or the WSAW website. In local news this week, Sentry World's general manager Mike James sat down with SPTV's Emily Margeson to discuss their new renovations.
Sentry World reopened its doors to the public and is offering some brand new amenities to the Stevens Point community.
The new Sentry World was gave the old Sentry World a facelift, a much needed facelift. 30 plus years of wear and tear on the golf course and the facility and the restaurant, and kind of learning from what we had to what we needed. Through trial and error, we were able to then see what we really needed for the renovation.
The golf course was completely overhauled and received some attention in the community and from major golf magazines.
There's a lot of renovation that was done to the course. The irrigation system is new. Every hole was touched. Parts of the property that were not used for the course are now used. Complete rehaul of the golf course.
When the golf course reopens this spring, Sentry World plans to host several events.
We're working with the Wisconsin State Golf Association on a few events. We're going to start off locally. We want to make sure we get all of our ducks in a row. I'm sure we will. The golf course is in incredible shape, or was when it was open. But certainly we'll stretch out to regional events, even some national events with bigger organizations such as the NCAA or the USGA, United States Golf Association. Those are plans.
Sentry World has multiple spaces for events like weddings, galas, and other large gatherings. James wants Sentry World to be a place where community members can come together.
Again, it's the community that's welcome to play the golf course and play tennis on our courts, volleyball, eat in our restaurant.
Sentry World strives to create a place that the Stevens Point community can enjoy. If you would like more information on the golf course or any other amenities offered here, please visit their website. This has been Emily Margeson with SPTV News.
Sentry World has closed their golf course because of the wintry weather, but will be opening again once the snow melts. On Tuesday, 2 people were taken to Ministry St. Michael's Hospital with injuries from a car crash near downtown Stevens Point. The crash occurred on the intersection of Prentice and Briggs Street. The 2 women suffered neck and leg injuries. Be safe out there while driving, especially since the snow seems to be sticking around. A 21-year-old UW student, Kyle Allen Smith, was arrested for first-degree recklessly endangering safety because he was in possession of ricin. Police found Smith in possession of ricin in his dorm room, and being in possession of this drug is a federal offense, and Smith could face up to 10 years in prison if convicted. Ricin is a drug that causes human organs to shut down and eventually causes death. He's being held in Winnebago County Jail until authorities decide whether he will face state or federal charges. In national news this week, a Texas family seeks justice after their home was burglarized, but are offering second chances to the men who robbed them. CNN's Philip Mena reports.
These are sketches of 2 of the men police say pretended to be delivery men before terrorizing a family in Bunker Hill Village.
They told the nanny they were delivering a package. She opened the door for them. They then pulled a gun on her and told her not to leave the bathroom.
She says her husband happened to walk in on the heist.
And then they finally put me on the ground, zip-tied me and back.
Their children caught a glimpse of the crooks and gave police a description.
My dad told me that we were just in a break-in, but I didn't really catch it because I was sort of still in shock. I saw the safe on the ground.
Even though it happened on October 17th, the memory still haunts them.
I have one child who won't sleep through the night. I have another child who's afraid of the dark now. And my husband is normally a very calm and easygoing person, and certainly he's been on edge since this happened.
In an effort to catch these men, the family has matched a Crime Stoppers reward that now totals $10,000. But they also want to help the very same men who victimized them.
If they turn themselves in, we will help them get an education.
The Lawsons say once justice is served, she and her husband will fully fund their college education if they so choose.
And the only way to have them not do this again is to have them feel like they have other options. And an education is the best way to do that.
Reporting from the Villages, Philip Mena, KPRC Local 2.
It takes a very optimistic person to want to help people who try to harm them. In Iowa Tuesday evening, driving became very difficult after winter weather hit. In a bizarre crash overnight, our car wound up going through the brick wall of a storage facility in Davenport. This car crashed into a budget storage rental space. It happened before 4 this morning. It took a tow truck to get the car unwedged from the building. Well, winter weather seems to be sticking around for good now. So University of Minnesota is finding new ways to get snow removal help. Forget the traditional help wanted sign. The University of Minnesota turned to Twitter to find people to shovel snow. The Gopher Stadium was covered in snow after unseasonable wintering weather. So University posted on Twitter that they'll pay people $10 an hour to clear aisles and seats.
It's it's just another day at the office. It's outdoor stadium. That's what you need. So we're having fun. We got a lot of hands, and many hands make light work. So
the big cleanup is in preparation for the Gopher game against Ohio State. Well, that wraps up news for this week. Next up is with sports with Adam Yirkovsky. Stay tuned.
Hey, you. Are you creative? Do you like television? Would you like to make a show that appears on air? Then SPTV is the place for you. At SPTV, you can appear on air, learn how to shoot and edit video, write and produce your own show, and most importantly, gain skills and experiences that will last a lifetime. Want to join us at SPTV? Come check us out in the Communication Arts Center, rooms 121 and 130. We'd love to meet you. SPTV. Let's make media together.
This public service announcement is brought to you by SPTV.
Hi, my name is Julia Flaherty. I've been living with juvenile diabetes for more than half of my life. I realized fairly early on in my diagnosis that this was an opportunity for me to take responsibility to draw awareness about a disease that, according to JDRF.org, affects almost 3 million Americans today. November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. That's why I'm asking you to tweet me at Miss Trenchie on Twitter to tell me how you are going to help the world be diabetes-free. This disease is not curable. It is treatable. But for some people, that doesn't make it any less tolerable. Whether you have juvenile diabetes, know someone that does, or are just inspired to learn more about it, the month of November gives you a great opportunity to start. Don't push disease to invisibility. Set it free.
This public service announcement is not affiliated with JDRF.org. This has been an SPTV production. Together, we strive to make media with UWSP students.
The Love Doctor is in. Watch SPTV's new series featuring college dating advice, love confessions, and more. Michaela Hilgart is The Love Doctor. Watch the new series premiering this fall on SPTV Charter Channel 983.
And now Adam Yirkovsky in his first year with your SPTV Sports.
Welcome back. The UW-Stevens Point Pointers football team was back in action on the road. They took on the undefeated UW Whitewater Warhawks. The Pointers were taken down, losing 49-17. With this loss, the Pointers have been taken out of the playoff contention. But they do play UW Stout this Saturday on their home turf. The game will begin at 1 p.m. at Gerke Field. Curtis and I will have the call. Be sure to tune in to our live sportscast. You can find the link on the SPTV website or find us on the Pointer Athletics page. In Pointer hockey news this week, the men took a trip to the land of 10,000 lakes this past weekend and took on Gustavus and St. Olaf. Gustavus was a fairly easy win for the Pointers with a score of 4-1. However, it wasn't the same story for the Ols. The Pointers lost 3-2 on the road. The men's team will be looking to get back on track this weekend with a home game on Friday and Saturday evening. On Friday, they will play number 12 St. Thomas and St. Mary's on Saturday night. Both games will begin at 7 p.m. at Willett Arena. The women's hockey team hosted Concordia Moorhead and were able to come out with a sweep. Friday, the score ended 3-1, and Saturday 3-0. The Pointers look to continue winning this weekend as they open conference play at River Falls. Both games will begin at 7 p.m. Pointers women's volleyball had a monumental season this year. Last weekend, the Pointers hosted the WIAC Conference Tournament. They beat out the UW Whitewater Warhawks and won the tournament for the second year in a row. The 7th-ranked Pointers will gain a bid to the national tournament due to their championship win. Congratulations, Pointers. This weekend, we'll start the men's basketball season here at UWSP. The number 7-ranked Pointers will host their first game this Saturday, November 15th at 7 p.m. in the Quant Fieldhouse against St. John's. Be sure to watch the game after you get your football fix. Curtis and I will have the call for the basketball opener. You can find the link on the SPTV or Pointer Athletics websites. That's all we have for sports tonight. Make sure you check out Final Take on Demand on YouTube and our SPTV website. After the break, Jenna Crayton will give us the latest in entertainment news.
Hi, I'm Laura Braun, the General Manager at SPTV. I'm a Stevens Point native and want to make sure that we're providing you with the best local coverage of all the news, sports, and entertainment as we possibly can. If you have any questions or comments about our organization, feel free to email us or stop by our offices. We're located in the Communication Arts Center at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point and can't wait to meet you, because today we can make media together.
How can you get involved with student media at UWSP? Connecting with your campus television station, SPTV, is easy. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Vine, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Pinterest, follow us on Instagram, or connect with us on Google+. But of course, the best way for you to get involved and stay up to date with all that is happening at our station is to stop by our studio. We're located in the Communication Arts Center at UWSP, Studio B, Room 121. You can also drop by our office, Room 130, for more information on station happenings. We can't wait to get you involved. Come join us at SPTV. Let's make media together.
Serving a campus of 9,600 strong, we are the home of UWSP Television. We are SPTV. You can find us on Charter Channel 983, online, or on any of our social media sites.
And now, Jenna Crayton in her 4th year with your SPTV Entertainment.
Welcome back. This week in entertainment news, have you ever asked someone to dance and they said no? It happened to a TV news man in West Virginia, but CNN's Janine Moose reports the man went ahead and danced by himself.
Sometimes an anchor has to rise.
Rise from the ashes.
Not from the ashes, from the anchor desk. Dan Thorne is shaking things up at WVNS in West Virginia, putting on sunglasses and lip-syncing to James Brown. All right. Ow! Hey, hey. Ah! Rapping along with T.I.'s Where They At, Doe. Stealing his co-anchor's iPad to use as a prop. During commercials or when waiting to go on air, Dan is one anchor you can't anchor down. But it's his co-anchor's not-so-amused attitude that helped make the outtakes Dan posted on his Facebook page go viral. No matter how goofy his face, miming to Taylor Swift, it's gonna be all right. Sarah Pictionary ignores Dan Thorne as if he's a thorn in her side.
I was just trying to connect with my viewers and say, hey, I'm not a stiff.
You're not peeved at him, are you?
No, not at all. That's just who Dan is. He's a funny guy like that.
By his 3rd video, Dan was roaming around the studio. No, you don't mean it now. For more than a year now, Dan and Sarah have been co-anchors. And they both say they are very close.
Because we do like each other, and getting along isn't work.
But Sarah draws the line at dancing during commercial breaks.
Come on, dance a little bit.
I can't dance on camera. Future employers might be looking at that and not taking me seriously.
Though we did detect Sarah bopping her head ever so slightly, she even laughed. What's Dan say to those who call this unprofessional?
That this is just me being myself.
Do you think he's a clown?
It's not in a bad way at all, but he's a silly guy.
Now Dan joins other talent in the Viral Hall of Fame. As for the speed with which the dancing anchor went viral, Dan quoted the anchorman he dressed up as for Halloween.
He said, well, that escalated quickly.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
But don't drag Sarah into this. Her motto is, anchors away. Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
I wish we could dance every week here at SPTV News. Well, first with Band-Aid and now Pink Floyd, it seems that everything old is new again. The British group, made famous by the iconic Dark Side of the Moon, has returned to the studio, and guitarist Dave Gilmour has a message for the new generation of music stars. CNN's Max Foster has more.
This is both the comeback and a goodbye for Pink Floyd.
We bitch and we fight.
This is the only track with lyrics on what they say is their last album. But this isn't entirely new music. It's mostly based on tracks that were left off the Division Bell album in the 1990s.
At the bed of everything there is a piece of old music, and we have added to it and subtracted from it when we can. I did think for a little while about being purist about it and not adding to it, just doing the shaping and trying to make the sound better, but I thought, well, we wouldn't have done that back then.
The Division Bell tour, documented in the 1995 film Pulse, was the biggest tour the world has ever seen, packing out stadiums across Europe and North America. With more than 250 million records sold, Pink Floyd is one of the biggest rock bands of all time.
As I understand it, you've pre-sold more albums than One Direction, here in the UK at least.
Yes.
You're still absolutely relevant to a younger generation, it seems, as well, because that was on Amazon.
Well, maybe they're looking for something that they're not getting.
What do you think that is?
Something that's not made quite so robotically. Is that fair? I don't know. Don't know what I'd say. Something like that. I think modern music, to me, God, I'm going to sound like a grumpy old man now, it's very formulaic.
But almost as if music from bygone decades, which is the fundamental basis of this album, is almost more relevant to people now than the stuff that's being produced. Or
my children, who are now in their late teens and in their 20s, all went through phases of thinking the Beatles were the greatest thing on the planet, and there are an awful lot of young people who are searching back through the older music for some sort of slice of something real or more original.
It's a comeback, but it's also a goodbye, isn't it? This will be your last.
It will.
This is the end of Pink Floyd.
This is the end of the Pink Floyd recording career, I think you could say, fairly safely.
Max Foster, CNN, London.
It's sad to see such legendary musicians end their careers. In the streets of Paris, investors are in a race to build the most opulent hotel along the city's boulevards. The goal is to lure the unimaginably wealthy with unthinkable luxuries. CNN's Jim Bitterman reports on the French Palace Wars.
For months now, some of the most glamorous Parisian hotels have been surrounded by cranes and behind construction barricades. Piles of money are being spent to renovate, upgrade, and acquire. It's costing the Hotel Crillon more than $100 million, for example. Nearby, the famous Hotel Ritz is spending $180 million. The Plaza Athénée just reopened its doors after spending nearly $110 million. But the record has to go to the Peninsula, which welcomed its first guests in August. A group, mostly made up of investors from Qatar, spent nearly $600 million to buy a former hotel in the heart of Paris, and another $600 million to restore it. The hotel's director says foreign investors, mainly from Asia and the Middle East, who now own most of the high-end hotels in Paris, are not thinking about immediate return from the billions they're spending here.
If our chairman, Sir Michael, were here, he will explain to you that this is a long-term investment and that this investment is for his children. We believe that we can bring value to this project over time.
True, that kind of money does buy an incredible amount of luxury. At the Peninsula, for example, you can pull in and wine and dine at a place where George Gershwin once composed and Henry Kissinger once negotiated, but with far more bling and high-tech convenience than they could ever have dreamed of.
The new hotel takes pride in all the automated software and hardware they've developed to control everything from the telephones to the temperature, the lights in the room, that sort of thing. Here's the panel for the curtains.
In the bathroom, there's the marble and chrome you might expect, but something you might not, a high-tech toilet that converts to an oscillating spray bidet. Rooms here start at $1,000 a night. A room like this one goes for $1,200. The top price suites which are not yet completed, will cost $32,500 a night. A lot of money, but obtainable, the experts believe, for those hotels which can reach that holy grail of the hotel world, an official classification a notch above 5 stars, the rating of 5-star Palace. At the Hotel Bristol, long a member of the 5-star Palace elite and still European-owned, the CEO and president says there is room for everyone.
In terms of hotel industry, Paris is a great destination. Even with all those new hotels, the market, from a supply standpoint, could afford to have more hotels.
Nonetheless, the Calvé recently spent $150 million on renovations, but unlike some of the others, without closing down temporarily or laying off staff. The bricks and mortar, he says, are the easy part.
Employees are number one. Of course, everyone can build, as you said, beautiful building with marble and mortars. But the essential, the glue of a hotel, the software, is the people.
And in a market that is clearly becoming more and more crowded, that's where the competition between the palaces of Paris will be decided. Jim Bitterman, CNN, Paris.
Which hotel will do it best is still up in the air. So actress Jennifer Lawrence wants to stay away from social media habits. You won't ever catch her on Twitter or other social media sites. In an interview with BBC's Radio 1 Breakfast Show, the Hunger Games star said she will never get Twitter. The 24-year-old says she also doesn't do Facebook or Instagram. Lawrence said keeping up with emails is hard enough, so Twitter is unthinkable. #bummer. It will be interesting to see if other celebrities will follow the trend Lawrence is setting. Well, that's all we have for entertainment news. This evening, back to Mimi when we return.
This is Julia Flaherty. I'm the current promotions director at SPTV. My job allows for me to have a lot of personal creative direction because that is the team environment that we instill here at SPTV. This past summer, I had the opportunity to write for hercampus.com as well as thedailyquirk.com. Personally, I feel that being involved with SPTV has really helped boost my confidence and my ability to network with other students. If student media is something that interests you, and even if you're not really sure what student media means, you should stop by our studios. We are looking forward to having you involved this year, and we cannot wait to make media with you.
Having trouble getting that first date? Ever wonder if soulmates are real? All your burning love questions can now be answered on SPTV's newest show, The Love Doctor. Join the Love Doctor herself, Michaela Hilgard, as she diagnoses UW Stevens Point's love problems. Whether it's an epidemic of shyness or a case of mixed signals, the Love Doctor is here with the cure.
SPTV is your home for everything Pointers, only on Charter Channel 983.
Well, that's all we have for SPTV News this week. For more updates, make sure to check out our website. And to learn more about what happens here at SPTV, check out our social media pages. Tune in next week for more SPTV News. Good night, Stevens Point, and stay warm.
This public service announcement is brought to you by SPTV.
Hi, my name is Julia Flaherty. I've been living with juvenile diabetes for more than half of my life. I realized fairly early on in my diagnosis that this was an opportunity for me to take responsibility to draw awareness about a disease that, according to JDRF.org, affects almost 3 million Americans today. November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. That's why I'm asking you to tweet me at Miss Trenchie on Twitter to tell me how you are going to help the world be diabetes-free. This disease is not curable. It is treatable. But for some people, that doesn't make it any less tolerable. Whether you have juvenile diabetes, know someone that does, or are just inspired to learn more about it, the month of November gives you a great opportunity to start. Don't push disease to invisibility. Set it free.
This public service announcement is not affiliated with JDRF.org. This has been an SPTV production. Together, we strive to make media with UWSP students.